Welcome to live stream Tuesday. And today we are going to talk about, of course, my favorite, our favorite. It is the one, it is the only Tesla. No surprise, no keeping it a secret. This is going to be about Tesla, and we are going to break down what is going on, what I believe is going to happen, why suddenly, out of the blue, after making wasn't a 52-week low, but after making a low of 130 just 2 months ago, why suddenly Tesla stock is rocketing higher? It's suddenly at $230, a whole $100 more than where it was literally in May. What's going on? What is going on in this live stream? We are going to unpack what is going on with Tesla, all the different things that are in play right now, and why, in my opinion, in my judgment, this is the perfect stock for so many of the things that people are looking to buy and looking to invest in, looking to speculate on. Everything from obviously robots, artificial intelligence, EVs. Yeah, it's all, if you could get it all in one stock, there's only one. There's only one. There's only one, and it is Tesla. And today I'm going to show you, it's not a model, because I mean, you can get that everywhere, but like just how many shots on goal Tesla has going. I mean, every day that you are in this stock, there's always the potential. There's always the potential that you can get a piece of news, you can have an event that'll get investors excited, interested, and then coming in with their money to come and bid it higher. And once that happens, well, hey, we've seen Tesla stock rocket higher. And right now, yeah, my best guess is that it's only the true believers, folks like you, folks like me, and others that are in the stock, all the folks that go in and out and only want to be in when prices are high and rising. They are paying attention. Why? Because, oh yeah, the stock is moving higher, but there's more coming, which means there are more investors, more demand that can come in. And that can only mean, in my judgment, in my opinion, one thing, which is that we're going to see a big run of higher prices. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me do the legal stuff first, which is that this live stream and the content from ATG Digital Media is not investment or financial advice. It is presented as opinion, information, engagement, and most importantly, entertainment. All the ATG digital content may contain errors, oversights, and mistakes. Understand that investment operations, which is what? Well, buying or selling a stock, option, crypto, have significant risk and can lead to the loss of your principal. Your principal means your money. The owners, employees, contractors, trade, transact, and securities, I mentioned in this video, and all the content from ATG Digital Media. We do not take money from companies or crypto to recommend their stocks or crypto tokens. Apparently, this is a practice from folks where they take money and then they don't tell you. It is actually by legal requirements. If I did, I would be required to tell you so. Next, very quickly, our Substack. We are in our summer break. So we're doing, I believe, like a retrospective of the first 6 months on the Substack. I have multiple Ballman Speculating podcasts that I want to do this week since we're not making other content. Obviously, I'm on YouTube right now. And then, I am very active on X, previously Twitter, Instagram, here and there. Facebook, we're pretty active there too. And then if you would like more of what you see on YouTube or what you see on X or any of social media, subscribe to us at atgdigital.media. And with that, let's unpack let's unpack why suddenly Tesla stock today is suddenly rocketing higher. All right. And before we do that, let's just have a little check of where we are. Okay, that's not where I want it to be. This is where I want it to be. So I tell you all the time, stock price doesn't necessarily tell you the whole story. You always need to know the market capitalization. Market capitalization is the number of shares multiplied by the stock price. And today, Tesla, the company, it has a total value of around $730 billion. $730 billion. For context, NVIDIA is worth approximately 3 trillion, so about 4.5 times Tesla, approximately. Apple is worth about the same. And Microsoft is worth about the same. And then you've got Amazon, and you've got Google, and then you've got Meta. This is like the $1 trillion club, if you will. And there's simply really no reason why I can think of why Tesla is not part of it. It's insane, because what is the $1 trillion club really based on? Well, it's based on the idea that, there are these incredible technology platforms of today, and they have enormous appeal, utility, use, both now and into the future. And so that makes people want to come and buy it. And when you look at the world, say, like that, and let's just look at Tesla as a business, as a collection of bets, as a collection of shots on goal, and as a company that has an unparalleled record of introducing genuine, real, amazing, phenomenal, incredible. I mean, I cannot put enough superlatives in, because there's no other company that is anything like this. I mean, look at this. Look at this runway of product introduction, each of which has been driven by some innovation, has been driven by a market need, and has fulfilled like a promise, a purpose, and has been adopted by the marketplace. I mean, just remember the amount of skepticism that has been there for the company, for the stock, for the businesses that it represents. I mean, there are still people insisting that EVs are a fad. There are still people who insist, even though we are now selling hundreds of thousands of EVs. I mean, Tesla by itself is selling hundreds of thousands of EVs every quarter. And there are obviously other companies. So by itself, there are people expecting EVs to fade out to nothing. There are also people who think that full self-driving is a pipe dream, that it will never happen, that we're never going to see this. I saw a post earlier today that I commented on X. Listen, folks, if you go to China, in the major cities in Shanghai and Beijing, where they are far ahead in adopting robotaxis, it is completely normal to go into a car that has no human driver. It's completely normal. They have been very early on in terms of setting rules, parameters, versus versus the United States and a lot of Western countries. We are fighting this technology. But my point in making that is not to say like, oh, great China. It just means that you have to have some context when you have an opinion. And if full self-driving is workable in China, it's certainly workable here. Maybe not in every rural place, but certainly in our major cities and in large to mid-sized cities, it is workable and it's going to come because there is a reason why you have robotaxis. It's because it is cheaper, it is more convenient, it offers more access to more people to the utility of transportation. In other words, you don't need to own a car, and you can move yourself around. But going back to this, we've got cars. We've got the Model S, which is a luxury sedan. The Model X, I own one of those called Olaf, which is their premium SUV. Then you've got the Model 3, which is a small size sedan. Then you got the Model Y, which is a small sized SUV. Then we've got the Tesla Semi. Now, this is still in the process of scaling up. I believe that I believe the Austin plant that is still scaling up is going to produce the Tesla Semi and the Cybertruck. And I own one of those as well, which you would have seen on the thumbnail. And then we've got one more car that is coming, which is the $25,000 model, which is expected to be sort of like the cheapest model that is coming, which is slated to come, at least in terms of introduction, in 2025. And now you've got like a company that's got like an entire array of products that fit like sort of like every cost platform. And $25,000 today, I mean, the old school legacy car makers make almost nothing. I mean, once that comes, I mean, it'll be almost completely by itself in that category. So this is going to be a big jump in market share as this gets introduced. All right, so that's just the cars. So you got pretty much every segment except the, let's say, the low cost segment, which there is a product planned. And so you've got like the car business like all set up, right? And you got all these bets. And then obviously we've got, a truck in there. And Cybertruck is obviously their pickup truck, like introduction. From there, we've got the software business, which is a standalone business. I put it in there separately as a standalone business because I have read posts on X and other social media talking about how Ford is considering licensing autopilot. And if Ford is considering licensing autopilot, I can tell you that there are going to be many others that follow it. There was also a post from the CEO of XPeng. XPeng is one of the leading EV companies in China that is also working on autonomy. And he was in the United States visiting, and he was driving in California. And he was like, I cannot believe how good this is. He's like, this is definitely better than a driver that knows how to drive from another country, but is unused to local conditions in the United States, unused to the rules that we have, obviously doesn't know where they're going. They're like, yeah, this is way, way, way better. And the standard is incredibly high. He's like, I don't know why people are so skeptical. And the same thing I've seen as well, a post from a tourist who was here from Sweden. And Sweden has Teslas, but they don't have FSD. And he couldn't believe how good it was. In other words, this is another business that is setting up to take off. And then, of course, in green, I have put the coming businesses. You got the Robotaxi event that is set up for 8/8/2024, where Tesla is going to introduce something. It's unclear to me that they would introduce a brand new car for the Robotaxi. I imagine that maybe they will have maybe a Model Y, maybe a Model 3 with the yoke removed, showing what their prototype is going to be for a driverless taxi. That's what I imagine they're going to show, but we don't really know. But it will be obviously broadcast live on X. and we will find out what they are going to show us on August 8th. And in that same category, I'll say that like the latest version of full self-driving, I haven't gotten it yet. It's 12.4.2 is being pushed out as we speak. The reviews for that are coming already. The 12.3, which I do have, and I've posted some video, is pretty good. I would say it's at that 85 to 90% mark. And now we've got the last 10% sort of to go, which are a lot of sort of like cases and small details that obviously matter, but we're really far along the way. And then today, Tesla announced their delivery numbers, and their delivery numbers for cars were good. Still slightly lower than where they were from last year, but still rising. Relative, on an overall trend, given that EVs are not the incumbent technology. This is the new technology. There's still resistance as people fight it. Like I said, people think it's a fad. But one of the big surprises was this energy business, which at times folks have asked me about in these live streams. What's the energy business? Well, the energy business is, let me get this up and show folks, because I have a couple of these. So I've got like a power wall. Oh, let me put this back here. I've got two power walls that are powering two batteries. That sort of like, I've got solar panels and I've got these two power walls. And right now, energy is cheap because the sun is shining. And so I've also got like this thing called this virtual power plant. You see that? Where I can actually sell power from my battery to my utility when prices are high. So this business, they do obviously on a residential basis, but it's also done on an industrial basis, and it's a mix of products that are batteries, and then there's the solar roof, and then there's also this auto bidder software. Auto bidder software theoretically would sort of like automate using artificial intelligence algorithms and work out when to sell power to the utility company, when to use the power yourself based on the price and the scarcity, all these things. And this business, is absolutely booming. Absolutely booming. You can see unexpectedly, their energy business is just suddenly rocketing higher. And obviously surprising the market. People, of course, were looking exclusively for what was going to happen with the car business. And because Tesla has so many shots on goal, you can have surprises like this where out of the blue, something that nobody was really expecting comes. And now the folks that obviously were short the stock, they got to come in and cover. People who want to be in the stock but dislike the volatility, they come in and like, oh, well, I don't want, I don't want to miss out. Like, what if this goes on a run? I want to be back in. And suddenly, a stock that was languishing, like just until very recently, at 130, right? Yeah, it was 130, and even further back, it was it was $100 back in January of 2023, was $139 in April of 2024. So that's just about 2.5 months ago. And now we're suddenly 230. And the old high is not that far away, right? It's at 414, which at this point is essentially double what Tesla's market cap currently at. And what can drive it there? What can drive it there? Well, we know today one of the things that can drive it there, which is obviously this energy business, which is obviously rocketing higher. And and I know what is driving it. For example, I believe New Zealand. I mean, we're talking about a country here, right? We're not talking about a city. I mean, New Zealand, okay, is pretty small as a country, but nonetheless, they have bought a ton of these power walls so as to be able to store energy and kind of like balance their entire energy system so that they don't have to necessarily run old school plants, whether it be to using natural gas or anything else. In other words, yeah, complete reorientation, restructuring of how they use energy, where they can use solar power, they can use wind power, store it in the battery, and then use it, yeah, when they wish. And if New Zealand, which is obviously small, can do it, well, you can bet that other countries that are looking to transition from whatever old school legacy plants that they use, using coal, using natural gas, whatever they're choosing to use, yeah, they're also going to go to this because solar power, yeah, I mean, once you put the panels on, as I know, I've had solar panels for the 6 years I've been in this house. I mean, I pay Duke, most months I pay them something like $15, which essentially allows me access to their grid power if I need it. But everyone's going to, yeah, start to implement some form of this. So bottom line, this energy shot on goal, which no one really talks about, no one really thinks about, is starting to produce, yeah, a lot of growth, a lot of money, a lot of profits. And this business it's not like, it started last year. I mean, Powerwall's been around for 9 years. Solar Roof has been around for 5 years. AutoBidder has now been around for 4 years. In other words, there's now enough clients out there that as there are more Powerwalls put out there, as there are more batteries out there, they obviously pay Tesla for AutoBidder, which starts to generate a return for them. And now money is just kind of coming in from all different directions. You've got cars, you've got FSD. We'll have robotaxis, whether it be 12 months, 24 months, maybe it's 36 months. We've got the energy business. And truthfully, I didn't put one more line, the energy business. Maybe I'll do it in real time here, which is what? Well, it is the Tesla charging network, where when you own a car, you go and you charge your car at their charging network. Well, this is a asset that they are definitely selling access to. I believe Ford has access to it. Rivian, pretty much every EV maker in the United States is subscribed to this network. And yeah, they're making money from this as well. So this is another source. And as there are more EVs that come, this is the only truly scaled up national EV charging network that is available. And so you're likely to use it. All right. From there are other shots on goal, which are coming, which is this Optimus Robot. And I will just, in case you haven't seen what Optimus looks like, let me get that up. Because so that's Optimus. That's the Optimus Robot. And as that post sort of talks about, Elon, now obviously Elon sets these mega goals. Yeah, I mean, he has talked about 1 billion of these being sold, and where it can generate $1 trillion or more in revenue. And the goal is for them to start selling Optimus robots by the end of 2025. Are they going to hit it? Well, I don't really know, but hey, we're going to get there sooner rather than later. And it's another shot on goal for Tesla. Another shot on goal for Tesla. All right. Finally, getting back to this model, or really just a list really of all the businesses that underpin Tesla stock, is the insurance business. Now, in North Carolina, where I live, I don't have access to Tesla insurance. However, in 12 states, you can buy your insurance from Tesla, and there is definitely an event that is going to, cause like the same thing that we're experiencing today with Tesla stock, right? I mean, it's suddenly up. It's suddenly up, what, 10% today, because people are surprised by the energy business. Well, somewhere in the next 12, 24, 36 months, we're going to have the same thing with insurance. Why? Well, as full self-driving becomes more and more of a reality, well, it will be very natural for Tesla to obviously know that, okay, our driving software is clearly superior to X percent. First, it's going to be maybe 50 or 60% of the people who drive. Then it's going to be 70, and then it'll be 90, and then it'll be 100. And with that, they know that the liability associated with driving a car is going to completely crash. Yeah, because we already can see, even with the current limited full self-driving software, that when that is being used in many road conditions, it is far safer than a human being driving a car. And if you've been in a car, you know why. We are distracted. We want to be on our phones. We want to change what music is playing. We want to look around. We want to be doing something other than paying attention to the road. And as a result, we can be quite dangerous. So we've got another catalyst here, which gets Tesla into a completely different business, which is related to their underlying business. So you put this together, I mean, you've got this incredible cash spinning, cash generating machine that is a mix of, obviously, machines, the cars, for example, the robotaxis, the Powerwall, the robots, and then each of them sort of like puts out, a sort of like a tertiary business like full self-driving for the cars. And for robotaxis, I mean, they'll have a platform so you can call them. And that platform over time, well, it doesn't have to be restricted to purely Tesla robotaxis. It can have any robotaxis on. And I imagine there will be at least one other company. Just like in China, there are 3 or 4 robotaxi companies. There'll be other companies that get into this business. So that platform will be worth something. Just like with energy, over time, auto bidder, it can be, applied to other folks making batteries. I mean, Tesla is not the only one making batteries, but the auto bidder software now integrates so many different batteries that people will want to tap into it. So you've got all of these shots on goal, and in any given month, quarter, you can have, the stock doing what it has done for the last couple of years, and then out of the blue, you get something like, oh, hey, they had a record quarter for energy. And people are like, well, what? Energy? I wanted Cybertruck news. Oh, I wanted FSG news. Oh, I wanted this. Doesn't matter. Money's money. Money's money, and how it comes in the end is not necessarily relevant. You've built this, overused word, a flywheel of businesses that sort of like each have multiple ways of generating sales, generating growth, generating cash flow, that makes it very, very likely that, like, I mean, at what, $730 billion. I mean, Tesla is, in my judgment, extraordinarily underowned. And there are going to be far more buyers of Tesla as its price rises. We all know how human psychology works, which is that if I presented all of this information, if that Tesla was 1,000, everybody would be filled with dreams of Tesla going to 2,000, 3,000, and nobody would be skeptical at all. Nobody would be skeptical at all. That's the nature of human markets. I mean, which is that we are buyers of high and rising prices, and we are sellers of low and declining prices. That's never going to change. That's human psychology, which says we want to feel that when we buy, we are getting rich, which means that there are always more buyers as prices rise. So what is going to happen as we start to, you see this rising trend? Let me make this bigger. Can I make this bigger? Yeah, what is going to happen as we get to that $300 mark, which we were at very briefly in July last year. So about this time last year, we were at 300, and everyone could easily visualize like, yeah, Tesla's going to go back to the old highs. Then, of course, we drifted back lower again. Why? Because, we are sellers of low prices and we are buyers of high prices. It's the reverse of any other market. Not every other market, the luxury market for handbags and things like that, and like the very high-end exclusive designer stuff. I mean, it also works the same way, which is like, the high price is the point. Like, the financial markets, they work in the same way, which is that there are far more buyers for Tesla as its stock price rises. Which means like, once it gets past 300, we're going to have like an enormous amount of buying. And as I've laid out, we have so many shots on goal, right? I mean, the car business, we've got the Cybertruck, we've got the $25,000 car introduction in the next 12 to 18 months. Model Y is already the best-selling car of any kind in the United States. The best-selling car is an EV in the United States. Then, going back to this, from there, we've got full self-driving, which we're going to get, if we're at, say, between 85 and 90%, we're going to get to 90 to 95% somewhere, I think, in the next 12 to 18 months, which then brings the Robotaxi business sort of into play. Something gets introduced in some city, and now people start to look forward. You go, okay, this is going to be a big business, $1 trillion business. And you got the energy business, which has just been a sleeper, now starting to break out. Optimus Robot comes in the next, 1 year. That's the delivery point. And then with FSD, we also get the insurance business now, where that starts to take off. You put it all together, in my opinion, as crazy as it may sound, but really it's not that crazy when you look at this chart. I mean, we were at 400 just literally in November of 2021, when we were much further away from all of these things. We were much further away from Cybertruck. Cybertruck is now in production, right? We were further away from the $25,000 car being introduced. Model Y was not the best-selling car at the time. Obviously, full self-driving was, we were 3 years behind, and we are now 3 years ahead. We're far closer to it. Robotaxis seemed much more of a sci-fi concept back then. Today, it seems like it's just a matter of time. We've got the energy business. And then in 2021, there was just the inkling of Optimus, where, people kind of like, it's just Elon talking about it. But now we've got a date, we've got a time frame, we've got models that people have seen. We have the first inklings that this is another revenue line that is going to come. And then we have the insurance business, which will go from 12 states to, I imagine, over the next 12, 24 months, will be in all 50 states, but it will be tied to full self-driving. And all of that, like, professional investors will start to be like, I got to get on this train. I can't afford to be left behind, like what happened between, in the previous, as in 2018 and 2019, when Tesla stock took off, and took off without many people being in it. Why? Because they were very skeptical, because there was a big short interest in it. And whatever people's reasons might be, people will cite Elon's politics and this and that. In the end, folks, it will come down to the business. It will come down to financials. And the market is, in the end, quite logical about what it wants to own. It wants to own big growth businesses that can scale up. And in my judgment, this is what you have with Tesla, which is scaling up across multiple layers. I mean, obviously you got cars, you got software for cars, and then the Robotaxi business, which leads in the insurance business, and then you got the energy business, and Autobidder, and then you got Optimus, and so many different shots on goal to make them money. And that's what I think is unfolding right now with Tesla. A couple of notes on a stock that I know many people are interested in. And that's this Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which is that there's definitely some kind of thing that happened about a week ago. And I posted something on X about this, which is that there was a piece of news saying that Freddie Mac, which is the company that is parallel, a clone essentially of Fannie Mae, so I said that this pattern fit. So this was on June 24th. In other words, there was a big run up ahead of this news. In other words, the approval of Freddie Mac to purchase second mortgages. Now, if you go back and look at my YouTube video about this, I've said that I believe this is the catalyst, this is the trigger for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to be released, or at least being one of the triggers. I mean, the election could be another, the amount of time that it's spent in conservatorship is the other, but the pattern is definitely playing out. The pattern is definitely playing out. In other words, we've seen a recovery since the 24th. So you've got like a buy ahead of the news, and then a sell-off as either somebody believed that the news was going to be negative, or they just wanted to cash out in case it was negative. And then the buying has started back up again now that the news is out. And obviously, some people say, well, the debate and the election, but you can see, I mean, the debate and the election was on last week. And, we've seen some buying, but I believe that this is still on and likely then to happen before the election comes in November. And I've laid out my theory and my thesis for this, which is that if the Democratic Party worries about losing, whether it be the House, the Senate, or not having control of Congress, not having control of the presidency, then you would worry about what direction Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac would take if they didn't have control. And one way to sort of like keep it something on the path of where it supports housing in the way that they want, their goal would be to release it now somewhere before the election and to let it go. And to that extent, one of the checks that I use is that I like to check to see what the preferred stocks are doing. And this is one of the more liquid preferred stocks for Fannie Mae. and all the preferreds, kind of, they would have to trade together because they're driven off par value. So what applies for one would be the same for the other. You can see that, it has made a post-debate high. Now it's slightly lower today, but this is among the most liquid preferred stocks, and it's also signaling that most likely I'm onto something with my thesis, my view on what's going on with both of these stocks. So that's I think my prepared comments, and let's do some questions on this special July 4th edition of Livestream Tuesday. All right, let's go to the comments here. And we've got a very loyal Livestream attendee. Hey, PM, since you first introed Tesla back at Banyan, I always thought it was too rich for my blood. Then it hit 165 a month or two ago, and I jumped in with 12 shares. And here we go. And that brings up a good point. I mean, many people, when I first recommended Tesla when I was at Banyan Hill, obviously they were skeptical of the EV business, let alone all the other businesses. They were like, EVs amount to anything. Obviously, EVs now, they're selling like 400,000 EVs a quarter, right? So they're on target to deliver somewhere between 1.6 to 2 million EVs. So, I mean, you want to be skeptical. You can be and think it's going to be a fad, but that's I think, kind of like out of the way. The other thing that kept people out is that at the time it was pre-split. I think it was like, people said it was an expensive stock because people still assume that a high stock price means an expensive company. Many people didn't buy. And one of the things that I said sort of casually that made a big difference to many people, which is that I said, it's okay if you only just buy one share. And then from there, I think we had a 10-for-1 split, and the price obviously was cut. And even now at 230, people are going to think it's expensive. So I will say this, in my opinion, it's okay if you just buy one share. I mean, my son owns, I think, like maybe a share, 1.1 shares, not too many. He's been saving some of his money, and one of the stocks that he likes to buy, because he can see, I talk to him obviously about everything that Tesla is doing. My daughter owns it too, but she's not as into the technology and things like that as my son. But they don't own a lot of shares. I still tell them that if Elon's right, and their time frames obviously are long, and they gets to 30 trillion, so that's what, that's 40 times, right? That's 40 times where it is today. What's 40 times 200? Well, it's a lot of money. Even if you own one share, it's still a lot of money. So that's what I will say about Tesla. Alicia says, looking forward to today's chat. Thanks for joining, Alicia. We're happy to have you. John says, please, Elon, stop talking about politics. Well, Elon's a human being, and he has his politics, just like each of us do, and he's entitled to it. And I mean, and as we're going to see, which is like, I've been in this country since 1986, and obviously I've been through periods when people were civil and polite about politics, or you just didn't talk about it. And then we've gone through a period over the last 10 years where it became almost the only thing people wanted to talk about. I'm hopeful that we can go back to some form of civility and open discussion, and being okay with people having different points of view versus wanting to, of course, have our view imposed on other people. Sandra says, Elon is a turnoff by jumping into politics like he cares what I think. I mean, Elon, he's got strong views on some things, and he's a human being. I imagine that most of us on different things have different strong views. What has changed is obviously with social media, all of us have a platform by which we can broadcast our views, and that then draws obviously people to be like, you're a jerk because you think this or whatever. I'm hopeful that we can, this is a phase associated with the novelty of social media. We've not really had a platform where any person can just get on by dint of having a phone or computer and an internet connection and broadcast their views. And I believe that over time this will get normalized, and some of the intensity of all of this will die down. Gene says, right on, I've added to my position most of all last year while I was dropping. Tesla is much more than selling EVs. I believe Musk is a genius and his success will continue for decades. I've always looked at it from a historical context, and the parallel is Edison. I mean, Edison, we don't think about it today, but I mean, we wouldn't probably have the electrical utility, essentially electricity in the scale that we have without him. And then there were so many other companies that he started. I mean, he had so many different ideas, and that's the parallel. So maybe people dislike Elon, dislike his politics, but I would tell you, separate all of that from your investments. Maybe you think like Gene that Elon is a genius, or maybe you're like Sandra and you dislike it. But I would say keep the stock and all of that separate, because over time, the environment, the social environment will change. But having a successful investment, anchor your portfolio, generate, extraordinary wealth. Yeah, that's a legacy, obviously, for yourself, maybe, even further than that. We have a question here from AI. Where is SpaceX in this plan? Well, SpaceX is a independent private company that is owned in part by Elon, but then there are a number of investors, both institutional and high net worth individuals and hedge funds, etc., that help found it. And it is still a private company. It is not part of Tesla in any way, shape, or form, and it can't be because it has its own unique, separate ownership structure. Then you have Dogecoin. Art says, well, as everyone knows, I own some Dogecoin, not an extraordinary amount. My largest holding is Bitcoin, but Dogecoin is it's a reasonably sized position in my crypto portfolio. And crypto is, truthfully, because of the growth that it's experienced, as much as my stock portfolio. Dogecoin, as Elon says, has incredible qualities, which is that, number one, while there's people that come to fight Bitcoin, right? Whether it be, we're going to ban Bitcoin. Can you name a single country that has tried to ban Dogecoin? Yeah, there's no one that has tried to ban Dogecoin, right? Why? Because you would feel stupid. Imagine the central bank of, I don't know, the ECB, the European Central Bank, trying to ban Dogecoin, or India. No, you would feel foolish. But that's in many ways the beauty of Dogecoin. It has a dog that's so cute. It's a very easy currency to access, to adopt, to want. My kids can't have Coinbase accounts or Robinhood accounts, but they would like to own Dogecoin. There's a mass appeal to it, and it's got many properties for a medium of exchange token. Clearly, Bitcoin is the store of wealth token, in my judgment, in my opinion. Ethereum is the foundational platform for sort of complicated, financial services. But Dogecoin for daily, spending, yeah, that's my bet. That's why it's in our silver tier portfolio. We're down big, but we still own it, and we're not going to sell it. I think over time, the natural place for Dogecoin is to go to $1. I know that sounds dumb to many people, but that's my view, and I'm sticking with it. Rusty Russ says, the buy the rumor, sell the news effect process up and then down until revenues are generated by the said products and earnings reported as profitable up again. Not many rumors of late. That is generally true of pretty much anything, which is that the markets have this way, which is that when you see a run up, it's usually capped by some news. But when you have a stock with this many shots on goal, there's so much potential news, which means that there's always something that someone in the market is interested in betting on. Rusty says, I believe the announcement of delivery of bots to come will push share price up again. Robotaxis will also have the same effect. Yeah, so we obviously have this announcement, and then we've got 8/8 coming up, right, on July 8th. So people will start buying the stock in anticipation of August 8th. Be like, what are they going to show? Is there going to be a new car? Will they, demonstrate a robotaxi? And people will start to buy the stock and bid it higher. And some of those gains will stick. Rusty Russ also asks, what do I think of Shopify? Shopify is a stock we added to our silver tier portfolio on checking here. Shopify, when did we add this? Yeah, Shopify is actually the last stock we added to our silver tier portfolio on May 23rd. I think this is one of the signature stocks of our time. If you want to go online and set up shop instantly, there's almost no alternative to Shopify, which means it may, it'll have normal volatility, but this is going to be like a critical stock to own that in hindsight, everybody's like, this was so obvious. It was so clear. Everybody was using Shopify. Every online store that I was on was using Shopify. Why didn't I buy the stock? So we like it. I think it's going to continue to do well. Liz, hey Liz, always enjoy having you on. Liz says, Tesla more than just a stock, it's an invest in the future. Who says no to the future? Well, hey, I mean, there are people. I was in South Carolina dropping my daughter off at camp, and I took my Cybertruck. I didn't get any rude behavior. I did get some grim looks, where clearly people whatever they were reacting to, either the shape of the Cybertruck, maybe it's Elon, maybe it's politics, maybe they're anti-EV, who knows? But there are people that definitely say no to the future. But I think a future that is filled with new things that make our lives better, make our lives more fun, I'm all for it. And thank you, Liz, for that comment. Let's see here. Leah Sim says, you're seriously underestimating the damage Elon has done to his brand. There has been actual, I don't know, I assume there's more along those lines. Surveys done about the attractiveness, about the Tesla brand, it's more disliked than adored. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's true. I will have to agree to disagree. I don't believe, when you talk to when I'm at superchargers all the time when I drive, there are more people, there are young people driving Model 3s, Model Ys. The adoption rate of Teslas continues apace. The biggest issue for sales really has been that interest rates have gone up. So a car is a large capital purchase, and that has reduced demand not just for Tesla but for pretty much all cars. So, but everyone can have their viewpoint, and that's what you said is perfectly reasonable. David says, I think those who dislike Tesla actually dislike Elon. Yeah, it's possible, but I mean, Elon is a genuine genius, and I don't think that you're going to have someone that can essentially create the EV industry. We would have no FSD without him, and nobody else, no other car company was investing in it. Then there's SpaceX. I mean, who else would have gone for trying to return rockets back? And we want this person to be perfectly, I don't know, normal, acceptable, like everyone else. Like, no, I don't think that was the way it was ever going to work. So yes, I mean, like, dislike, I mean, I don't know whether Edison was loved or beloved. I imagine that, he struck a chord, just like other genius out of the box inventors did in their time. More comment. The fact that the best-selling car in the US is now a Tesla and not the F-150 says Tesla is not more disliked Then Adored, this is Steve Dale commenting on that. Yeah, I mean, we shall see, right? I mean, like the EV adoption cycle, in from what I can tell, is about to, cross the chasm of where it goes from, obviously there's innovators, there's folks like me and others, in other words, early adopters, to the early, the sort of like the middle adopters. And that's when you get to like 50% market share. And if there's been genuine damage, as they say, done to the brand, then Tesla sales are going to lag. Then Rivian sales are going to rocket higher, Lucid, Polestar, maybe some of the legacy automakers. We shall see. But there's no real sign that Tesla sales have been hit by anything other than what normal sort of financial conditions dictate, which in other words, if you, the cost of financing, like my Cybertruck is now I think I got a rate of 6.4%. I think the last time I went to finance a car, it was 2.4%. So that's definitely going to have an impact, not just on Tesla, but on every cars. And that's really been the big issue, which is like, it's a lot more expensive, but Tesla does have, one thing in its favor, which is unlike legacy automakers or any of its competition, Rivian or Lucid, it is already scaled up. It can cut prices and still make money. And that's the nature of innovations. In other words, the technology is so new that as you scale up, you can cut price. GM cannot do that. Ford cannot do that. They got to carry their legacy operations with them, and those have no scalability left in them. They need prices to stay high. So they're going to get hit on their legacy business, which means they don't have enough money to really scale up in their EV business. Steve Dale says, thank you, Paul, for your continued insight. We appreciate you. Well, I appreciate all of you attending this live stream. Liam says, the best-selling car is not a Tesla. Fair enough, but I believe you can Google, and maybe it wasn't this quarter, but certainly for 2023, I'm pretty sure my sources show that the Model Y was the best-selling car for, if not all year, at least for most of the year. And Liz says, happy July 4th. Yes. And with that, I can say happy July 4th to all of you. Our team and I, we want to celebrate, July 4th with all of you, but we are off. The team works incredibly hard. I'm very grateful for all of you, all the subscribers and the team. I'm hoping for, some incredible things to unfold in the second half of 2024 and 2025. Why? Because it kind of like goes to this, which is that every stock that we're invested in, they're looking forward, right? There's something bigger that is coming into the future. And the stocks that have been around for 30 or 40 or 50 years, I mean, they've benefited from this period where the post-lockdown, you had like this huge sort of like cyclical rebound, and they've benefited from that. But from here, it's much tougher going for them to grow their sales and grow their earnings. And so as growth slows down for the rest of like these incumbent legacy companies, we're going to go back to a market where growth trades at a premium. And that will also be, a period when I believe the Federal Reserve is not going to cut rates to zero, but they will cut rates. Might be by 0.5%. I don't think it's ever going to be like by 3%. We'll probably get down to 0.5%, maybe 0.75%. Best case, I would say 1%. But that will still be enough of a catalyst and a trigger to see a big swap go on in the marketplace, where today pretty much the companies that are very highly valued, that are being bid up, that people want to hold on to, they are mostly these very large tech companies and generally legacy companies that are about to experience slowing growth. Meanwhile, the faster growing companies, have not found too many buyers. But in my opinion, we are going to see a major transition. And with that, the money will start to pour in. And today's price action on Tesla is like a signal that money is noticing. They're like, we want to get in. So our portfolios, I believe, are setting up for a big second half of 2024 and then 2025 as well. So if you want to see what's in them beyond what I've talked about in the live stream, atgdigital.media. $9.99 per month is the silver tier, and it goes up from there. So check it out. And thank you all for attending this live stream. I will be back next week where the team will be on. We'll be publishing Substacks. We'll be doing updates. If you're a Ballman Speculating podcast listener, I have 2 episodes that I plan to put out. So check that out as well. Thank you all for attending. This is Paul saying bye.